Hello again, friends. This is Dan once again, along with another Bible topic with Coco the Wonder Dog back there. Today's topic concerns one of the judges of Israel named Gideon, and I call it Gideon's 300, or Who Let Gideon's Dogs Out. A few years ago, there was a movie made about the Battle of Thermopylae and the 300 Spartans that fought off the million-man Persian army. By doing this, they allowed the Greek city-states to gather an army and fight the Persians and eventually kick them out of Greece. The 300 Spartans, sadly, were eventually overwhelmed. However, in this Old Testament story involving Gideon, his 300 succeeded. Gideon was from the tribe of Manasseh, and he was a judge, the fifth judge. This was during the period of time after Joshua, but before Israel had a king. Now, Israel had been raided constantly by the Midianites and others. Well, why did God allow that? Well, thank you for asking. Israel followed this pattern over and over. They would do what seemed right in their own eyes. This meant that they would fall into idol worship, forget about serving God, and God would allow them to get oppressed by their enemies. They'd eventually cry out to God, and He'd send them a deliverer, a judge. Then there'd be a period of returning to the Lord, but then the cycle would repeat. Gideon answered God's call, which came by way of the Lord Himself, who Gideon at first thought was an angel. Gideon was very fearful, so he requested a couple of fleeces just to make sure, and I describe them in the links below. Gideon then destroyed the idol of Baal and the Asherah poles, a phallic symbol, and these poles actually belonged to his own father. He earned the nickname Jerubbaal, let Baal contend, kind of a in-your-face, what you going to do about it, Baal? Gideon amassed an army of 32,000, but God said that was too many. Any troops that were fearful could go home. At that time, 22,000 left. Well, that left 10,000. Boy, math really does pay off. God said that even that was too many. So Gideon God had Gideon take his troops down to the water and said that everyone that lapped up water with their tongues like a dog could stay, and everyone that knelt to drink should go home. That's an Old Testament who let the dogs out moment. Well, that left 300 troops. God gave the victory to 300 over an army. Well, why did God do it that way? Well, with only 300, there's no doubt that God had given them the victory. It was a supernatural event. If there was more, like the 32,000 originally, then they could say, well, it was just their prowess. They were such a great army. But this way, there's no doubt. Well, I've got the details below in the links, and in a future video, I'll talk about fleeces to include Gideon's. May God richly bless you as you study His Word.